As usual, a weekly build. So today I wanted to share with you a workflow that is very useful for digital agencies, marketing AI, or consulting companies who are willing to come with the right context into their clients so they can collect and research things instead of sending questions that their client need to answer in detail about the products they are selling, the authenticity they have in the market, the credibility, etc. So to define these things, the agencies, they might prepare questionnaires that go to hundreds of questions sometimes. For the client, it is a pain in the ass to do the whole thing by himself. That's why actually making that research or those questions answered first by AI might be the right thing to do, as they will be able then to have insights about the customer that they can already use, right? When they come in discovery call or they want to define some strategy for them in the right direction, this is the information they need. So this is the automation that we did today in 4 steps. I wanted to explain you the big picture before jumping into the NA10 workflow itself. So I wanted to show you that first there is the form that contains the questions that should be answered by the customer or here by our AI agent researchers that will go to the internet and research things. So there is a submit form first from the CRM of the agency, which will trigger the workflow in NA10. And we will see this later. And by triggering the workflow, there is an agent defined in NA10 using Perplexity, which comes in the next step or second step to conduct the AI research based on those questions coming from the form. And then we will be able to answer that with the agent after giving it instructions about how he should answer that and which format we should get the output in. We go into building Q&A pairs with these answers. So it means that the questions we got from the form first, and then the answers of the AI, we will bring them in one document together and fetching them in the right format in order to get them back to the CRM, or here we are creating a Google Doc with it to record everything there. So you see the Q&A pair in the end in a Google Doc document here in this case, because I used GoHighLevel. And in GoHighLevel, you cannot really go back to a submitted form and update it. So that's why I did it this way. But yeah, in some platforms that are built for forms specifically, you will be able to actually just send back the request as a post request and fill the fields in the form that was submitted directly there. So let's see now in the NA10 actually how this workflow looks like. So we start with a webhook trigger, and this is where the form is submitted. Let's see now how the form looks like. It's defined in GoHighLevel. This is where I created my form, and I created it for my AI agency for information collection. So let's say I was contacted by a customer to build some AI automation or product. So I want to collect maximum information I can about the customer, because at the end, we are not really jumping into building directly, because we need to understand what is the situation there. Are the employees there already using AI or not? And is the customer also having some training in his company to enable people on AI? How is the situation? So have they been experimenting with some AI tools already? And if they have any AI capabilities, what are the needs and challenges they identified, the knowledge and skill level, as I said earlier, and strategic priorities or opportunities. And so whatever the customer can answer already is very helpful for me to be able to help them best way possible with their AI project. This is the form I prepared, and then I will need this form to get filled up. But first, instead of sending this to the customer in order that he fills it up and he will spend maybe days doing that, different team members will go through it. If I do that first through searching the web, it means that it will gather the information that I need from the web about this customer and give me already some insights. So whatever it finds is very helpful to know if the customer is already into AI and they are having some advantages out of it, or they have some knowledge in the teams, etc. This is possible. So mainly for customers that are, of course, present in the internet. And my aim is companies that are selling software. So this is why mostly I will find their presence online. And this is actually the builder of the form. But when I go to preview here, I will see how a person who is supposed to fill it up will see it. I need to tell GoHighLevel to post something into this link here, the webhook that was generated automatically in n8n. I just take this as a copy and go to my GoHighLevel. In GoHighLevel, actually, we have the possibility to define some automations. And this is where I can say, once the form is submitted, and I can mention which form I'm talking about, I want this webhook to be triggered here. And this webhook URL we see here, specifically that it's exactly the n8n link that was provided from n8n to start it. So when that form will be submitted, the webhook will be listening when this workflow is active, and it will then capture the information that there is a form submitted from GoHighLevel. And then the next steps are to fetch that form, etc. We will see them as we execute this workflow, so you understand better what each node is doing. Okay, so let's now start executing it. Just to start the webhook trigger, we will get some information from GoHighLevel, and this is where we can start understanding, because right now we don't have data at all. So the first thing, as I said, I need to submit this form, but first let's go to here and say, okay, listen to this trigger. Listen if there is something coming from GoHighLevel. And if I go now and fill it up with some fake email, let's say, then the organization is Vistex. It's a company I worked with in the past. They are selling actually some software in the SAP space. So I will keep listening. It's still listening. And I go down here and say submit my answers. Just with that information, I needed to give the company information later for the AI. Now that I have some basic information, so I have the company name, so the email of the person who filled it up, I will go here and extract the data I need. So this code that you see here is just extracting the data from what I received and giving me specific fields for form ID, location ID, etc., which are information that are sent from GoHighLevel to here. So the URL here is directly pointing to the form that you saw earlier, and I will scrape actually all the data that is present there so I can read it through it. And that is the next step here, fetch from HTML. I will read the whole thing from that URL I received here. So it will give me a long JSON with all the questions and everything, with a very messy HTML that we cannot really understand. And this is why we need the next step, actually, that we parse the form fields. So we organize them. This is what I mean by parsing, just to have them organized by field ID with the questions that are clear and in their places. So we have also the placeholders that were captured. So also maybe for later, the AI agent will understand, okay, the placeholder is talking about this, so it should expect this answer or this answer. All right. So now that we have all that information, we make sure that we are reading here from the field that we received earlier, the company name, because here we are in the AI agent node, and this is the prompt that I'm giving it to make the research and fill out the form with the responses. And for that, I need to make sure that I'm responding to the company that is Vistex. Yeah, it's reading it already. So it's coming, of course, from the field that was captured earlier, that when we enter the company name, which is, I think, the contact ID. So I can show it to you here, you understand better. Yeah, the contact ID here. Just put it there and it captured then automatically that the name is Vistex from this. And after that, we are giving the AI also the way that it should parse this information, or in which form it should put it, in order for later for us to be able to give that data back and generate some document or send it back to the CRM or whatever. Unfortunately, in GoHighLevel, it's not possible to update a form once it's submitted. That's why I will not make this through an API call or post, but I will just create a Google document where I will store the answers with the responses later. And also in the system message for our agent here, we see also that he's an expert business researcher and form submission specialist to research companies and provide accurate, detailed information. Always return valid JSON without markdown formatting. Very important, always returning JSONs, because machines between them, they understand JSON so well. So once it gave me the response, I still need to parse it again to make sure that it goes to a Google Doc. This is why I'm putting it in JSON so the machine can understand. So let's execute now this step. What is happening now? It's using its model. It's connected to Perplexity, and we see now there is something generated, right? So if I go here, I see that there is some responses, and we see now what the company is doing. So there are only the answers. We see only answers here. I asked it specifically to not output questions because we already had them. We don't need to output them again. We have all the answers, and we need again to parse back. So once we parse them, it will get organized again. Like earlier, we saw the organization of the fields. And we see here that we have field 1, field 2, field 3, field 4. If you see the queue, it's saying, okay, it's an answer to question 4, question 3, question 2, etc. This is what the JavaScript node is doing here. And we even see here that there are Q&A pairs. And this is the most important output we get because it will organize the fields together. So we have the first question, the first answer, etc. And you get the context then. So it will get everything organized. Let's pick up some random question now to see how well it performs. So what AI projects or experiments have you conducted in the past years? Eastex has likely conducted projects focused on enhancing revenue management and analytics through AI, such as predictive analytics for pricing and trade promotions. However, specific recent projects are not details in public sources. And this is exactly what I need. Some insights from whatever in public is available, because later on I can still gather details from the company itself, and I know already enough. This is really important to know already your customer. So I've been working in pre-sales for 8 years, and the main time-consuming thing for me, or the most thing I spend time in, is the discovery call, because you never have control into it. So you can get some questions from the customers that you didn't expect. So the most information that you have about the customer before you jump into the discovery, the better you are positioned to sell whatever you are selling, or to propose whatever you are proposing, because you know the customer better than maybe 90% of the other competitors. So let's continue now with the next node, which is formatting it to prepare it for the document, for the Google Doc. And actually what's doing in the last part here, we see the form submission, and we see here the formatted content in the end, and it's how it will get formatted in Google Docs later. So now we are arriving to the last part. So I will create a Google Doc because, as I said, there is no way to send this back to GoHighLevel now, for now. Maybe they build the API, we don't know, cross fingers for that. But yeah, for now, I'm creating a Google Doc first in the created document. So here I have my Google Drive connected to it, and it will create me a Google Docs there with the title that is coming from the name of the company, the field where we captured it. And that's it. So that's the name of the document. If I go now to my Drive where folder project is, so this is my projects folder. And if I go back here and execute that step, it will create the doc here. Normally it will appear in a few seconds. Yes, we have now the document, but it's completely empty. This step is just creating it. And now we will get this field with NA10 by the answers that we got earlier. So if I go to add content here, we have some JSON ID, we have some text, right? And that text here is coming from the previous field where we organized the document, if you remember, in the node code earlier. And this is how the result will look like in our Google Doc. So let's execute the step and see what's happening here in our Google Doc. Yes, finally. We have now the whole Q&A. Isn't this impressive? So we can just use this as information already to talk to the customer. So it did a big discovery for us. And I can definitely confirm that the answers are amazing. So I worked with Eastex for 5 years. And I already 1,600 to 2,000 employees. This is completely right. What is the mission of Eastex? Yes, we're selling mainly pricing solutions, enhancing business performance by reducing complexity. The company's mission is to help businesses take control of their mission-critical processes, ensuring that every dollar spent or earned truly drives growth. Yeah, that's definitely the future that is already here. Okay, this was my build for this week. I hope this was useful or looks useful for businesses. I build mainly automations for go-to-market. So please don't hesitate to follow me in my school community. All the resources are available there, templates to download. And you can also subscribe if you want to see more of this, because every week you will see one build solving one small business problem in the go-to-market processes. Thank you very much.